Hi, and welcome to Living the Tao.
Hello, I'm Taoist Master Mikel Steenrod.
And I'm Morgan. Thank you for taking a walk with us. Today, we're going to be discussing positive power.
Okay.
People talk about positive thinking and manifestation and everything else. What does it mean, as a Taoist, positive power?
Well, it's one of the core methodologies, but I think if we start off by taking everything together and just sifting it, we can say that positivity is somehow important to humans. And that's been encountered or deduced many, many times across the centuries. If we look at positive power, what we're talking about is not a denial of reality. We're instead talking about what you choose to focus on because of its value to the human mind.
Okay, so instead of saying, oh, I just stepped in dog poo, that's great. What would you do if that happened?
You would acknowledge the fact that you stepped in dog poo. You don't, I mean, it's, let's take the most common statement within America in English is the saying that every cloud has a silver lining, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that saying actually doesn't exist in a number of cultures, but within America it's a very common saying to encourage people to remain positive. Here's the thing, not every cloud has a silver lining, but there are other clouds. So let's say you stepped in dog poo. Is that the only thing that you did during the entire day?
There we go. That's the difference, huh?
Right. So you have let's say you have 10 events during the day, and actually you should have many more, but keep it manageable. And we'll say you have 10 events. Of those, 3 were negative events for you, and 7 were positive events for you.
Okay.
You have a decision to make as to what you occupy yourself with. Do you occupy yourself with the 3 negatives, or do you occupy yourself with the 7 positives? And that might not seem, from a distant perspective, to be a choice at all. You'd sit back and go, well, I would obviously occupy myself with the 7 positives. But the practicality is, in that 7-to-3 ratio, some people will occupy themselves with the third one, in the belief that it somehow makes them better, or because it's a conditioned response, meaning it's something that was ingrained into them sometime during their upbringing, and so they repeat that pattern. It's perhaps something that's been told to them, but by a parent, but that parent could have heard the same thing. Their parent's parent could have heard the same thing. That's one of the reasons that we don't want to just blindly accept the behaviors that are ingrained into us during childhood, because otherwise childhood ends up determining who you are and what you're going to do into much later life.
Yeah, in a sense, childhood never ends if you're doing childhood things.
And if you're looking at Taoism, if you're looking at the art of living or the spiritual path, you're looking at trying to set up a life that you have consciously chosen to build, the conscious crafting element. Now that could be a highly spiritual life, or it could just be a moderately successful, moderately happy life, which both are perfectly fine. But each one of those requires you to take the reins and to use those reins to your advantage. So
to guide your life in the direction that you want it to go.
Yes, to choose what you want to become as a thing, and the acts that you wish to perform within the world. Now that could fit some sort of external criteria, a checklist that you've created for behavior or such, or if you have progressed far enough, a list that you have created by yourself and wish to become.
Yes.
That's part of the difficulty of having that power of self-determination, is you have to actually make all those decisions yourself.
And it's a huge responsibility.
Right, well, if you screw it up,
But even if
you're the one who screwed it up.
yes, but even like taking on the responsibility, saying, okay, this is my life and I am going to create it. I mean, that's
And
huge.
even create the person that's there.
Create the person that's there.
Well, the whole function of another word for the social mind that we've had many discussions about, because it's kind of a core concept for Enlightenment Taoism, is that the social mind is the mind that's given to you. It's not one that you built, it's handed to you. And the problem is, it's been handed to you, let's just say it's not accurate. We'll be both technical and polite. But that first person that you are, that's handed to you, is not yours. You didn't make it, it was given to you. The process of spiritual development is replacement of that first person, the first mind,
Yes.
the social mind, with the person that you create. And that's going to have all sorts of problems and dings to it, because it's basically like sitting out and saying, well, I want to be a sculptor. The first thing that you sculpt is not going to be all that great. So you need to have enough personal resource, internal resource, to be able to remake it many different times.
Oh, because you're the sculpture.
Yeah. You're the sculpture and the sculptor.
Yes.
And so you will build and rebuild yourself many times on that pathway. Not everybody wants that burden of doing that, but for many people, certainly not for all, for many people, there comes a time in life where you look at your life and you go, this is not really the deal I thought it was going to be when I signed up for it. You know, I would prefer to make a change in who I am and what I'm doing. And at that point, you decide to either do that thing. Taoism provides extensive resources to do it because it's the core struggle. Or you just accept it. And you go, well, I didn't really believe I was buying into this, and I didn't understand what it meant to buy into this, because of course it was just given to you as a little baby.
Yeah.
And then you reinforce it over time.
Because you think it's the right thing to do.
Right. But then you find out, oh, I don't want to be this person at all. At that point, you can just accept it. You can go, well, it's too late now. I am what I am.
Plus, I don't have the tools. No one's given me the tools, and the social mind is invested in not giving you the tools.
Well, the social mind deliberately avoids having that type of self-control. It doesn't fit whatever its particular agenda happens to be. So there's a lot designed within it to keep a person in that particular form. It's one of the reasons it's also referred to as the enslavement. There's a big long list. It's not a positive list.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the default setting for a human. If you don't like it, you have to shift it. Positive power is partly, well, it's in large part your relationship with your senses. Because everything we experience comes through our senses. That's how we make those decisions. Even if it's intuitive, it's still processed through our senses. And so even the intellect is processed through the senses. You don't have thoughts that move independent of sense. And same thing with emotion, any one of those things. They all filter through the senses. So we have, on any given day, a vastness of sense data. And to be simple, some of it is positive and some of it is negative. And we have to ask ourselves, how am I going to treat this sense data? Positive power is based on a simple belief, one that's been supported across thousands of years now, and that is, If you occupy yourself with the positive sense data, you get better outcomes than if you occupy yourself with the negative sense data. As the negative sense data breaks you down, and the positive sense data lifts you up. That's it. It's not an idealism about it. It's actually just really very old psychology. And so, and one that's been borne out repeatedly, because you'll have somebody that goes, well, you know, I learned that blah, blah, blah. If I'm very negative, I can accomplish these particular things. It's like, well, that may be true, but that's like drinking battery acid. It's going to slake your thirst for a short period of time, but then it's going to cause tons of damage in other areas.
Yeah.
And so it's not really beneficial to you if you wish to explore the vastness of your possible life. So, and by that I mean, if we think about it, if we're restricted into a box, the negatives keep us in that box. It actually doesn't move us out of that box.
Oh.
The positives, of which on a given day, there are usually many, many more, open up new possibilities. Now the negatives can be a motivator, and I'm not saying that it's not. And no Taoist approach says to ignore reality.
Right.
But it says you consciously choose what you occupy yourself with.
Yeah, because that's your choice inside. Once
Right.
it happens.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with denying the negative. It has to do with, well, this is how human psychology is built. I need to occupy myself with this particular positive. Sometimes your situation can be horrific, and you can have, out of your 10 events during the day, again, a completely made up number just to be simple, 9 of those 10 events could be negative. One of the events is positive.
How do you find those positive ones? It's so easy to find the negative ones. They're so, you know, they're waving a red flag and shooting off fireworks. How do you find that one positive or multiple positives?
Well, people see what they're conditioned to see. The fact is that as soon as you have conditioned yourself to find the positive components, you will actually always see them. And it's the positive that provides you with more opportunity. It provides you with greater solace, so you feel better. And if it's 9 to 1, am I saying that's an easy day? No, I'm not saying that's an easy day at all.
No.
I'm not sitting back and saying it's the silver cloud. It could be the only cloud that's favorable to you. Don't ally yourself with things that are not favorable to you. That's what positivity is. So the other things are damaging to you.
Yeah.
You know, don't hang out with them. Hang out with the thing that's actually your friend and your ally.
So we need to train that. We need to consciously make the decision to find that positive.
Yeah, it's not something that's done instantly or immediately. And sometimes the positive could even be, it could be a future event, it could be a past event. So now we're starting to deal with time. So you sit back and go, well, the reality is that today, all my 10 boxes were filled with negatives. However, tomorrow will be filled with 10 additional negatives. But
Okay.
the day after that, the 10 boxes will be filled with more negatives. Then, the day after that, there will be a positive box.
It'll be one positive.
And the day after that, there may be 2 positive boxes.
Yes.
Then the day after that, there may be 3 positive boxes. So part of the difficulty for that is then we also have to look at, once we have the basic concept, we have to look at time. And that is also an inherent limit within each individual. So within the Four Ascendant, which, believe it or not, all Taoist training past the classical philosophical is actually has quite technical components to it.
Meaning
it's like studying a technical manual for something. It's the, you know, we like the Tao Te Ching because it's the poetic piece, but the reality is that if you go to the major collected canon, the Tao Te Ching, what you have is 5 million characters of mostly technical manuals.
Because it's how-to. It's a life how-to, right?
Right. It's essentially, this is how you deal with this particular thing. These are the observed phenomena. These are the records of blah, blah, blah. And it goes to that list. So it's relatively tedious. But, so this ultimately bumps up against something that my teacher would call fail tolerance. And that is, each person can put up with a certain amount of failure and before they either collapse in on themselves or they quit the thing that they're doing. And the question becomes, how much fail tolerance do you have? Because in the adept practices, let's say the advanced practices that you hear about, sagecraft, other things like that, one of the things that marks the sage from the outside perspective is an almost infinite patience. But the reality of it is that it's just a very high fail tolerance. They can put up with having the door closed every single time you walk up, the first 9,999 times you do it, and then the 10,000th time it's suddenly open.
Is that because they know that that positive is coming?
No, I think it's more a matter of understanding that that's how those things work. When you have a perception that that is not how those things work. So we have a nice little muddy bog we're strolling through here. So if you sit back and you think to yourself, well, it has to be good in the first 3 hits, of course you're never going to be able to tolerate 10,000, and you're going to think that you're failing almost immediately.
Right.
The goalpost is in the wrong spot. And this is difficult.
The goalpost should be far away.
Yeah, it should be far away, whereas you've moved it up like it needs to be right here.
We love that,
or
don't
vice versa, whatever, however that happens to work. But you've set it at an unrealistic point rather than a realistic point.
Yeah.
That can be clear.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's actually among the many apprentices or students that I've had over the years. That is a common error, is coming to understand the whole nature of, well, where do I set the goalpost for this?
Yes.
And one of the big lessons is that it's arbitrary. So you can set it anywhere you want to. And if you set it too far out, you're going to constantly fail to meet it.
Oh.
If you set it too close, you'll just easily step across it every time. The best place is to put it where it's accurate, where you actually have good information that says this is it, this is where it's at. So,
do I have an example of that?
Well, let's say you want to get strong, and your measurement of strong is, I need to be able to deadlift, so lift up like this from the ground, 4,000 pounds.
Oh, golly.
You're probably going to be a failure.
And that's when the goalpost is too far away.
Yeah, it's too far away. Now you said, well, I want to become a weightlifter. I will consider myself a weightlifter when I can lift 20 pounds. And you go, perhaps you lift it right away, perhaps you have to spend a couple days doing it, depending on, your health level.
Yeah.
And have you really met this abstract concept of weightlifter that most people have in their mind at that time? That's questionable, isn't it? And now suddenly we start getting into the questions.
Yeah.
But that's what a person should be doing, is asking those particular questions. So,
and that's part of getting it accurate.
Yeah, that's part of accuracy. So positive power isn't about ignoring accuracy. Time isn't about ignoring accuracy. And
time is not?
Is not. So if we sit back and we set the goalpost at, well, 1 in 10,000, I may have to do reps for this number of years in order to be able to open that 10,000 door. So 10,000 in Taoism is a magical, well, it's not magical. Well, let's just call it magical. It's a magical number that means infinite. So it's whenever you want to conjure up a really big number, you go 10,000.
Yeah.
So, and, but the door will open up on the 10,000th try. And so some things are beyond people simply because the fail tolerance for that task is so great that they will never achieve it.
You'll never reach 10,000.
Right. And if you look at it, you take your typical child, a child when they're first growing, you know, and they're evolving and such.
Yeah.
How many failures are they going to tolerate before they give up?
Well, if it's something like walking or standing, they'll just keep going.
Right. But if it's a difficult task, like sitting down and having to paint a butterfly or something like that, they might not have that tolerance at all. It's like, well, you know, I made 4 attempts at doing this butterfly and none of them work. I'm cursed.
It doesn't meet my expectation.
Right. I'm cursed. I don't have the ability to produce butterfly paintings. It's like, well, I mean, you gave it 4 goes. Can you really achieve that end within those number of repetitions? And the answer for that is usually no.
But they don't know. How do we know?
Well, yeah, exactly. Those are all a series of questions that would pop up from that. So, but positive power and this idea of fail tolerance allows us to go for goals that are very abstract. The big question starts to become, well, am I deluding myself? Because that's a lot of fails to go through.
Oh, man.
Am I just wasting resources? Am I deluding myself? Well, that's where your history of accuracy and all the other components of the Taoism come in and start to tell you, no, you're on the right track. You need to pursue this particular thing. And
are you saying that we might get support from the larger picture if we're doing something, if we're headed in the right direction?
well, your intuition, a lot of times, if it's properly developed, your intuitive self can illustrate to you that the win is out there. You just have to walk through these steps that all look like they're negative in order to achieve that particular end. So,
what if you're ready to give up? What if you've tried and tried and tried and you're like, I still want this thing, but I just don't know what I'm doing wrong?
the reality is that you may give up. I mean, the truth is that positive power is something that has to be built on the small in order to get the big. You really can't just set out and go, I'm going to have positive power. It's like, are you? I mean, is that how you get positive power?
You mean because we're not familiar with it, we don't know how it works, so we can't just...
Well, it's a behavior. And my teacher believed there was a mathematical limit to each individual. And that's why he called it a fail tolerance. And so...
Which is very engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course he was an engineer in his common life. But essentially each individual has that. The best that positive power can do is to get it so that you maximize your fail tolerance. And that's for those of you that are more technically oriented. For those of you that aren't, you have to practice with the small in order to build yourself up so you can have enough positive power to do more difficult things.
But you're saying that we only can reach our what's already established as our potential, as our limit?
Yes, there is a limit to a human being.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless the human being transforms, and then the limits can change. However, at any given point in time, there is a limit to a human being. Obviously, you know, I'm not flying around and being all powerful right now, so right. I'm either deceiving people or I have a real limit.
Right.
And positive power allows you to approach those limits.
Oh.
However, you have to exercise it because positive power is a skill and it needs to be developed over time. It's not instant. It's not something that you sit back and go, oh, I wish I'd been more positive. Well, sometimes you can do that and get some behavioral change. But the reality is it's that the sitting back and going, okay, I have to focus on these positive components is where I want to occupy myself with. I know that the negatives exist there. I have obviously seen them. But is it going to do me any good to be sitting in them all the time?
We have to keep that.
Right.
We have to keep on reminding ourselves of that because it's so easy. So You said start with the small. What kind of thing would be manageable?
Well, just going through your day-to-day life
Okay.
and placing yourself into the positive.
So like I made it to the office today. Can that be a positive?
Yes,
I woke up this morning.
that is also a positive.
I had a great breakfast.
That is a positive.
Okay, so just all the little things that you can appreciate.
Right, well, and you also have the collected value of positives in your history, where you can sit back and go,
Yeah.
well, it's really great that those things happened. I really enjoyed them. Now you could be referring to something years ago.
Yeah.
But the fact is we're products of our history. So we're not ignoring them. Instead, we're actually activating what we actually are. And so if you look at your history as it spans through, it will also have positives and negatives.
Yeah.
Some days it's going to be all, if you're in a complex situation, it's also going to be 10 boxes of negatives. You're not going to be able to come up with a positive.
Right.
That's difficult. We can all acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And then the day after it could also be 10 boxes of negatives.
Right.
However, look at the span of your history. There's bound to be some positive boxes in that history.
There has to be, right? Otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, eventually if a thing gets to a point of a certain amount of negativity, yeah, that exceeds human capability. And so we shouldn't really sit back and go with an edge. Well, what if you have 10,000 negatives? You've never had a positive in your life. It's like, well, one, if you're still alive, you're obviously not human. And because human psychology doesn't function in that
You
fashion.
wouldn't have been able to make it. Yeah.
Right. You would have been destroyed somewhere along in that process. So when we look at fantastical edge cases, we have to be careful. It's not
Fantastical what's?
edge cases.
Edge cases. Okay, yeah.
Yes, where the possibility is so remote that we're not ever really going to see it, and
Right.
we shouldn't be trying to build, well, practice off of it. So,
Yeah, those are exceptions.
yeah.
We got a noisy helicopter going over here.
So let's take the span of a day. And on this day, you happen to have a 9-to-1 negative to positive.
Bad
Right.
day.
That's one span of a day. What makes that span of the day the one by which you should judge everything?
Oh, that's true. That's an arbitrary window, huh?
Right. Why not 3 days ago? Why not 2 years ago? Why not 5 years ago? Why not 6 months from now? Why not?
The future? 6
Yeah.
months from now?
So and those are all questions to actually ask. So when people are making the assessment of positive to negative, they usually have a very narrow context,
Yes.
and it's being used to reinforce whatever their current position is.
Yeah, and it's usually a fraction of a second right now when the guy cuts me off on the road.
And remember, all of that, as has been pointed out by many Enlightenment traditions, all of that is already in the past. Every single moment of it is. However, our processing of it and our valuation of it is right now.
He's in the present.
And that's in the present. So again, we're starting to see, if you explore this a bit more, you'll find out that, well, does that mean that I'm just selecting negative events from my past in order to promote a particular vision of the future? And the answer to that is yes. And it could also be the other way around. Am I just selecting positive events of my past to promote a certain picture of the future or the present? The answer to that is yes. It's a mechanism. You either control it and use it to your advantage, or it is controlled and used against you. And so the controlling force for that, of course, is the social mind.
Right.